I have no idea. Yes, we are live. Welcome everyone again to this lovely Scrum 101 session. And this time it's about the product owner, right, Steve?
Yes, yes, it is. At last, we're getting around to the value maximizer or the maximizer valuer. I don't know. It's the
Yeah.
person that makes sure that the team are working on valuable stuff.
Yes. And at the end of this session, we do know what it is, right?
Hopefully,
At least high
hopefully.
level, high level. Right. Okay.
So I'm going to share my screen just so that everybody can see what we're looking at. And we've got a mural that will. What am I doing? A screen. There I am. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. And there we go. Hopefully you're seeing it all come through now. So I'm just going to zoom out. So here is all the other stuff we've done before that we recorded, and we didn't record the one and two. So we're going back to do the best bits, the product owner. So I suppose we should really do some proper introductions, Irian. Hello, my name's Steve. I'm a professional Scrum trainer with Scrum.org, and also I'm wearing the merchandise today. Professional Kanban trainer with Pro Kanban as well. So although you can't normally see it from the camera angle, I'm based in the UK. I love doing this. I love working with people. I love helping people understand the intricacies around Scrum and Kanban and working in complex environments. So I'm also going to just confess I've just been for a very long run. I'm standing up and I really shouldn't be. So if you see me slump down over the next 30 minutes, that's what's going on. So, Zurian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, exactly. My name is Irian, and I'm just like Steve, one of the co-owners of Scrum Facilitators. But I'm not in the UK, I'm in the sunny Netherlands today. And as we learned, everywhere is sunny in Europe except for Switzerland, right? Because it's cloudy. Um, yes, I'm a professional Scrum trainer as well, and I just love connecting people. I just love to talk about how to deliver value, but keeping the people in mind, because we are the most important part of an organization of the world or whatever. Good one, Steve?
Yeah. So, a little bit about us. We're based in the UK, Netherlands, Singapore, and virtually as well. So, there's lots of things that we offer to people: coaching, mentoring, teaching, most all the Scrum.org courses, all the Pro Kanban courses, but also there's something a little bit over here that I'm just going to give a shout out because we do an original conference, and already we're starting to plan for the next one in November. So it's currently January, so it's going to be in November. We're already starting to plan it because it's great success. But anyway, so um, we've already introduced ourselves. But that's the way you can keep in touch with us on LinkedIn or on if you've just fancied to chat using the Calendly link there. So please feel free. Please feel free to just ping us and have a conversation with us. We're glad to help. So, Zirian, you asked a question when creating the meetup invite, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So what we also love is not only to have people here just standing like, okay, I'm going to consume, but also in advance thinking about the topic of product owner. And we just love this question. What have you seen a product owner do that had a negative impact on delivery? And typically, product owners don't do it on purpose, right? We all don't do bad stuff on purpose. Well, sometimes it happens, right? We do it with a good intent, but the result might be different. And it's very, very funny to see um, that although you all are from different part of the world, part of organizations, even we do see some topics which come back, like
Hmm.
lack of vision, lack of or clear vision, or not communicating or changing stuff all the time, but also product owners who just love to do the work that the developers do. Um, well, we hope that by the end of this webinar, or I don't know, Scrum 101 series, that at least you have some more insights on how to deal with these stuff. Is this actually Scrum? Is this helping? Is this not helping? So at the end, let's get back to it and see if your questions got answered as well. But
And I had
nonetheless,
sorry, Zarina, I'm just going to add into that. I had a product owner that went away over the weekend and came up with the actual solution for the team, then came in on Monday morning and said, "There you go. That just needs hardening now to put onto production." And the team were like, "What? What have you done? It's
yeah,
just like you've missed everything out that we're supposed to be doing." It's like, "Yeah, no, just harden
yeah,
it." Oh,
yeah.
okay. It's as simple as that. Just harden it so it can put it onto the production servers. Bless him. So, but it did make me giggle looking at that one, trying to please all stakeholders. It's like, yeah, trying to please all the stakeholders. You can't
Mhm.
please everybody all the time, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's a difficult role, difficult accountabilities to have as a product owner. So,
Mhm.
what does the Scrum Guide say about the product owner? So, the product owner isn't accountable for maximizing the value. Reiterating what I was talking about earlier, maximizing the value of the product resulting from the work of the Scrum team. And I was delivering a product owner course last week, and somebody said, how do you maximize value? What are you doing? And it's like, well, it's looking at actually the work that's coming up, looking at the product, looking at the state, looking at the market, looking at absolutely everything going on, and just making sure that the team are working on the most valuable thing. And then we all had a conversation about what does value mean, and that's a different conversation, but tends to be like adding money and benefit to society and happiness. So it's like, how do you do that? And there's various different ways you can do it. But and like it says, how this is done is widely may vary widely across Scrum teams. But the product owner is also accountable for product backlog management. So, and what that means is that they actually make sure that the product backlog is transparent, available, visible to all. It's not hidden away, in the delivery department or the IT department. It's not kept in a drawer. It's, hey, stakeholders, and it kind of might link back to that pleasing all stakeholders point. This is our plan. This is what we're going to be doing in the forthcoming sprints. All items in the product backlog should be supporting the product goal, as
Steve,
it says there.
just a small question. If you're talking about transparency in terms of the
Yeah.
product backlog, what does that actually mean?
Well, what it means is that actually the content within the backlog is understandable. It's readable for the people that are going to be doing the work. They understand what it is. It's also available. It's like I said, it's not hidden away. It's not kept in a drawer somewhere or on a special document in Google with a password. It's people can come and have a look and see what's going on. And the intent within there is also visible as well. So you don't necessarily need the product owner or somebody from the team to walk you through it as a stakeholder. You can see, oh, I can see the direction that this team is heading. It's transparent. We're not hidden. We're not obfuscating anything out the way. It's not using strange language that just only that team knows. It's not abbreviated. It's understandable. So hopefully, Zorin, that is your impression as
Yeah.
well, or do you want to add on?
No, exactly. And I just read the chat from how do you say from Ian. Says we have a lot of items on the product backlog, everyone to see, but it's not understandable. And I think that's one of the biggest issue. As a product owner, you need to make sure that it's understandable. And what we often forget is it's not a one-time thing, right?
No.
It's a continuous a conversation that you have with your stakeholders, conversation with your with the Scrum team, conversation with the customers. And what I also find interesting is that transparency in this case doesn't mean that the whole world should see it, right?
Mm.
Sometimes you have competitors. Sometimes making it too open can uh, um, decrease transparency. So it's an ongoing activity as a product owner to make sure that it's understandable. And I always say that as a product owner, when I wake you up in the middle of the night, as a product owner, you need to be able, okay, so what is the outline of our product? Where are we
Yeah.
heading to? And that should result to the state of the product backlog as well.
And that's why, they brought in the product goal. Well, I say brought in, it's been in for some nearly it'll be 5 years in November, that product goal.
Mhm.
They're having that general direction of where we're heading. And so the product owner creating and clearly communicating product backlog items, making sure people understand what it says in there, ordering the product backlogs. And again, we were having this conversation about the difference between priority versus order. Everybody can have a priority one. This is the top thing that we need to do. But we might need to do it in a certain order because of circumstances, environmental dependencies, those kinds of things. We can all be prioritized as top, but we have to order it. And it's that in that ordering around business value and risk and dependencies in whatever way that a product owner wants to do, that they can deliver that value.
Yes.
So, and again, ensuring the product backlog is transparent, visible, and understood. Okay. So there's a line just at the bottom there that the product owner may do the above work or may delegate responsibility to others. So I've worked with teams that are, hey, developers and other people saying, hey, we don't create product backlog items, or they actually said user stories. That's your job as the product owner. And it's like, well, the whole team is accountable to deliver an increment of value. Anybody can create items in the product backlog if the product owner knows about it. So it's devolving that responsibility into the team. And then that encourages such things as self-management.
Yeah,
Uh,
which actually also helps in scaling, right?
yeah.
What we often see is when there's too much work, um, you try to create new teams and then new product owners, and then they have to align. But a good way to scale is also scaling who does what, right?
Mm,
In terms of self-managing.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. It could be that product owner tells the team, says, hey, look, I know you've got this bit. Come and get me when you get to this area because I've got some information that is valuable. Or, hey, I'm really concerned around this area. So come and get me for that kind of thing. So devolving that responsibility, but still being accountable. It's that English language is lovely. It's accountability versus responsibility. If nobody else is doing it, it comes to the product owner. They are accountable. Responsibility can live elsewhere. So again, we're going to have a shout out to the Scrum Guide. So if you haven't read the Scrum Guide recently, please read the Scrum Guide. And even if you think, oh, I know the Scrum Guide, I've read it in the last 6 months, just go have a read because it just helps people reconnect with the essence, the meaning, and that maybe there's been some assumptions that have been made in organizations that, hey, the product owner or product manager is doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, yeah, that seems right. If you're doing Scrum, just drop back into the guiding. Ah, yeah. Oh, and also they should be doing X, Y, and Z as well. So just to take you through some four important numbers. For those that joined us for the Scrum one, 3335, I love some numbers. So this is the rule of one. Okay. You might know these rules. So there is only ever, or I could be very clever here, there is only ever one product backlog. There's only ever one product goal. The team either fulfill or abandon the product goal before starting a new one. Kind of makes sense, don't have too many goals. Just have the one. Ah, and I've moved it now. Is it going to do it right? There's one product. This is all the rule of one. And there's one product owner. So one product owner working on one product. Ah, let me get rid of that. Okay, so one product owner. But you don't have a business product owner. You don't have a technical product owner. I have seen some organizations do that, and that just creates confusion. Who has ultimate say? Who has the accountability of saying, no, we're doing X? Oh, it's split between the two. Okay, if it's split between the two, what if there's competing priorities? Who has final say? So the rule of one product owner, one product backlog with all the work in, one product goal, either fulfilled or abandoned before starting another one. And when there's one product, okay, so it's the rule of one. Quite simple.
And
So
just to make it a little hard, because I don't like simple.
ah,
How many teams, Steve? How many
for a
Scrum
product
teams?
owner,
Let's say for a product.
for a product, well, the guide is really vague about that. Um, as the guide is written, it's really talking about one team, one product. However, if you wanted to scale, as the guide that we've got right now, you could probably scale about 3 teams, but it's just one product owner working into into those 3 teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Each team may have their own Scrum Master, but again, this is that devolving the responsibility into the teams. But it's one voice, one product owner set in that direction. And then when you go into scaling, Safe and Nexus and all those kinds of stuff, there's a whole load of other stuff that can come around and support product owner.
Okay. And how many products can a product owner have?
So how many children? No, I was going to say that. How many children can you have? Well, you can have loads. So if we're context switching, we can't spend as much time as we would like with one product or a product. What I've seen is that if there's a product, there should be a product owner looking after the product, even if there's no budget for that. If there's no budget available, there should still be a product owner looking after the product. The guy doesn't say. It comes down to the organization. It comes down to that product owner's ability to devolve responsibility on what they can do and how they can do it. Good product owners delivering value early and often, I would say the maximum should be around about two. However, I'm quite willing to be proven wrong. Zirin, have you come across a product owner with more than two products and being able to deliver value consistently?
Yeah, actually, I have, although it was very difficult because self-managing aspect of the Scrum teams were very, very high. So then it makes it possible, but at the same time, it's very difficult to keep focus, right? And it hurts commitment because if you are needed, where are you going to be, right?
Yeah.
You have to be constantly collaborating, constantly communicating with your stakeholders, constantly communicating with the rest of the Scrum team to make sure that everyone understands where we are heading to, but also what the order is, and so on and so on.
And this is where I
So,
would see, sorry, Zirin, this is where I would see a good Scrum Master coming in to help support that product owner and say, hey, you're being spread very thin, or like, there's a lot of calls on your time. Look at the waste, look at the cost, those kinds of things that's happening there. However, some organizations may not be in that situation, and it's just we have to have more than one product with a product owner. So maybe it's along those lines financially.
exactly. And I think that this also ties into the next topic. So what does a product owner actually do? Because we have these four important numbers, which are um, but the thing is, okay, so what does a product owner do then all day? And what we love to do is see if you can zoom into what a product owner does. Um, we actually see the whole from business point of view, like the company vision, all the way to delivery and validation. And delivery and validation, that can actually be like the day-to-day activities that you do in Scrum, right? And what we typically notice is that product owners spend too much time on solution discovery and delivery and validation. And the rest of the time, if you're talking about company vision, company strategy, product strategy, and so on, not a lot of time. Well, actually, it is really important to always stay connected to your company vision, right? As a product owner. So you need to be involved. You need to be involved. And maybe it's not in the creation, but maybe it's in the giving feedback. Um, you don't have to reimagine it, but you need to be involved because if you're not involved, how can you make sure that your product actually contributes to the organizational goals, right? So you need to have that cadence. You need to have that moment to connect those parts. One of the things that I find really important as product owners is actually giving direction and giving purpose to the team. Okay, this is our goal. This is where we are headed to. If the purpose is not clear, then it will probably motivate the Scrum team less than it would, right? And it's a shame because everyone loves to contribute to a bigger area, right? So, and I think that this one is also illustrating like as a product owner, you need to connect people. You need to connect people together. You need to connect developers to the stakeholders. You need to connect managers to stakeholders to the developers. You need to connect with the customers. As a product owner, one major way of communicating and making sure everybody understands is connecting the people, right? Too often we see product owners being like the middle person. Don't be the middle person, right? Connect people and facilitate the conversation. Right? I think that's far more important than wanting to know everything and making sure that you're the most important person and a knowledge holder, knowledge keeper, um, that will probably not help you in delivering more value over time, right? And I think if we're looking at how much time you should spend on it, um, obviously you are spending more time on a product vision, product strategy, right? Which can be like, okay, so this is our product goal, right? The creation of a product goal and making sure that everybody understands it, right? Problem discovery, solution discovery, those are with the sprint goal and so on. Those are the things that you need to collaborate with your with the developers and the rest of the Scrum team to make sure that you have a coherent sprint goal which contributes to your product goal, right? And if, as a product owner, you don't have the direction, you cannot connect all those dots,
Oh,
then
poniente
it
expert
gets
maestre.
difficult. Yeah. So somebody forgot to unmute, but it's okay. Yeah. So th this is something that really illustrates that as a product owner, where you should spend a lot of time on, but also not neglecting the whole process. Because if you're
Mm,
not involved in the whole process, um, yeah, then and probably you lose some information as well, lose some direction.
yeah, definitely. They are that person that is keeping the connections together. Make sure people work on the value and delivering the value. There's a question from Marcus I really want to lean into in here.
Mhm.
The main purpose of the PO is to protect the team from all evil surrounding it, enabling it to focus. Sorry, I'm laughing. It was just that all evil surrounding it. But otherwise, the main goal is to make the team run on its own, not needing a PO, Scrum Master, or any other nanny. Your thoughts, Zarian? What do you think to Marx's comment?
Yeah, I think it's to me at least, it's not to protect the team from all evil surrounding it, but actually giving direction and supporting them, right? Um, and I think this is also where a Scrum Master comes in. But if, as a product owner, you can connect the outside world to the inside world, that the developers actually understand why we are doing stuff, is actually more important. And if there is like this a notion of needing to protect it, probably there's something in the culture that needs to support value delivery. And that's why collaboration with the Scrum Master here is very important. But also as a product owner, usually as a product owner is a bigger change agent than a Scrum Master. Um, because if this continues to happen, then we are not delivering value anymore, right?
Mm. And
So,
oh, I was just going to say, and also if the team, yeah, sorry, Pierre can be the evil one himself,
yeah.
deliberately, yes. I'm just thinking if the team are starting to do those things that the product owner or Scrum Master would do, they're taking on accountabilities on top of the existing accountabilities they've already got. And they're a set of unique skills sometimes. Stakeholder engagement, making sure we're working on the most valuable thing, talking to customers, and people like to focus on doing the work, and they're taking on accountabilities away from their strengths, for example. So it's kind of, are you doing it? Are you using Scrum for the Scrum purpose, or actually you using Scrum to deliver value, kind of thing? And Scrum's there to deliver value, kind of
And
thing.
I love how you say stakeholder engagement and not stakeholder management.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah.
about engaging with the stakeholders and not doing it alone.
No,
Product ownership is not a one person army.
and you'd see that in the sprint review. I've been to so many sprint reviews where developers aren't invited, or it's kind of like and it's kind of a sprint show and tell, which isn't kind of Scrum at all, or isn't Scrum. I'm going to be so bold, and it's like a conversation between the product owner and the stakeholders, and it's just
Yeah.
they miss out on so many things. So the engagement within the developers, building up rapport, building up relationships with the people that they're working with, maybe on a separate side of the business, it's key. It's really key. So that whole stakeholder engagement,
Yeah, and
getting the value out of
also,
them.
also, Steve, I get a um, thought based on the comment of Marcus, who says often the evil stalk the developers, confusing the team. And I think that is one of the reasons why product owners should not protect the team. If we're talking about self-management, then we should teach the developers as well about where the accountabilities lie,
Yeah.
right? How to deal with this, how to enable the product owner to do a proper stakeholder engagement, right? So
Hmm.
that's why it's really important as a whole Scrum team, but also to know what the accountabilities are, what the Scrum events are for, and thus helping change the organization from their point of view, right?
Yeah. And the key thing, or that one thing I've been saying quite recently, is that people don't really care, or the stakeholders really don't care about how teams deliver. They just want their stuff and they want it to be predictable. And when you're working in a complex way or a complex environment, Scrum is a good way of working in complex domains that can help increase predictability. So, the thing about the accountabilities and who's doing what and all that kind of stuff, people don't really care about how. They just want their stuff and when. And, if we can work in that domain, it should help. So,
Yeah. Talking about
cool.
talking about not caring, there's one thing I like to share about the product owner, and this also in regards to product owners who are too engaged in the sprint, right? I often say product owner, even when I was a product owner, I said, I don't care about what is going on in the sprint. We have a sprint goal. As long as the sprint goal is reached, I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you spend 3 days at the beach. Just make sure it happens, right? That's the main concern. That's where I trust the developers to do what is needed to achieve the goal, right? And I am available.
Yeah.
I am available if there need to be any clarification or whatever, but I don't really tell the developers how to do it,
And
right?
Zirian, I'm
And
really curious about what was the response back from the developers when you said that to them as a product owner?
yeah, well, that was for them. It was shocking because it was the first time that they heard it. And at the beginning, when I said it, we discussed it in a sprint retrospective as well. They thought that I was not leaning in and as part of the team.
Hmm.
So it was a really good feedback, but it was all about, and then we had a nice conversation about, okay, why did I say this? Because obviously we all care about reaching our goals, right? As a Scrum team, we are committed to reaching our goals. But in terms of self-management, I'm not the professional here who knows how to create a done increment, right?
Hmm.
Those are the developers. So I need to respect them. I need to respect their ability to how to say, oh, I'm getting a phone call, um, to
It's a
really create a
developer.
done increment. But once we had the conversation, it was for them really easy to grasp and actually take ownership of what is going on in sprint.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So I'm just very aware of the time and moving on ever so slowly. So look, we'd love to keep in touch with you. Again, there are our contacts if you'd like to on LinkedIn and Calendly as well. Please feel free to link in. So we're now just going to open up the floor to you, lovely people. Oh, Zirian's disappeared. Okay, cool. Uh, so is he coming back? Who knows? What questions do you have for us or for me? Because Zirian's disappeared. Are there any questions? Anything that we've said, you go, yes, but what if? What's in the room, folks?
Well, it remains awfully quiet.
Everyone's
Well,
counting to 10
I,
before we
I
can start.
I didn't really formulate a question yet, but something I said on the chat earlier. It's about organizations that scale in a way that every team has exactly one product owner, regardless of what the product exactly is. So, for example, we have a system integration team,
Hmm.
which contributes to multiple products. It,
Yeah.
and that has a product owner who is like so his product, more of a service, is the integrations. Well, it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
It I don't know what my question is, but it seems not
Well, a
entirely
product
right.
can be a service, though. A product can be a service, as the Scrum Guide, and I can hear myself. The Scrum Guide says, which actually I absolutely hate. But just for reference, that does describe, there is a definition of what a product is. And it does talk about something physical, something more abstract, something that's a service. So if you are providing a service into a team, there is that aspect of the skills and the knowledge is actually a product that you're helping into it. You might not be able to see, at the end and go, oh, there's that widget, but there's the whole thing. There's that we enabled something. Um, maybe there's an idea that you could actually have those skills within the product teams, but then that's just an organizational discussion and maybe something different. But so, yeah, the guide does talk about the product. It could be a service as well. So if like I said, if you are providing information, knowledge, skills, that could be a service, could be a product. So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, a bit. I think the main problem, if you can call it a problem, is that it's not delivering value to a customer on it itself, only when you say that the other teams are the
Yeah.
customers.
And you can have internal customers and external customers. So it's like you're providing a need. Somebody has a need for that knowledge, that service, that bit of information, and you are providing that need. So internal customers. So it's like if you look at any product, and I always go for my phone and start saying this is a product of many, many different products. For me, as the end consumer, the whole thing is the phone. But it's got three lenses for some reason, which I never really know. And it's got a flash, which could also be a torch, which, if there's a product there, is that separated out? Or is there a product team that looks after the flash? Who knows? I don't know. But putting it all together. So there's value from Samsung when they get the flash team and the lens team together, and all of a sudden they've got the camera and you've got, okay, well, then we're selling that as a product. But to me, if I went to a mobile phone shop, if they still exist, um, everyone just buys them online now, and then just go, oh, here we've got a half phone. What's a half phone? Well, it's a rectangular bit of plastic with a flash and there's no value in it for me.
No.
So it's when you piece it together, and that again, that links into that conversation around what value is back to your service team. The value that they provide could be, hey, just having that person with that knowledge that can do whatever, the system integration teams that enables the product to leave in, and finally get to a customer on the outside world, outside of the four walls of your organization. So it's lovely, the English language. You can just twist it and turn it into any form and it can answer a question. So
Thanks.
no worries.
Yeah,
Anything
I have a
else?
quick.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, continue. I
Thanks.
I spare my question. Yeah.
We kind of have a similar setup in terms of we have four product teams, and we've got one front end team which delivers or builds the front ends for all the four product teams.
yeah.
So in some kind, it's similar to your case. Do you have any suggestions about how the PO of the front end team should interact and collaborate with the other four POs? Because they are kind of a
Yeah.
bottleneck from time to time, and everyone has his priorities. And I don't know. Sometimes it's difficult.
Yes. Yeah. Zirin, do you want to take this or shall I, or you?
Yeah, what I usually think, if we are talking about priorities, every product owner has their own priorities. To me, that feels like, okay, so what are our common goals? What are our organization goals? Do we have uh, an overall goal that we all want to go ahead and try to deliver? Usually, when I hear that product owners um, are not clearly communicating about their dependencies, then it's okay, do we have a shared goal? Just like how the product goal helps you keep focus, just like how the sprint goal helps you focus, what is the ultimate goal that everyone is reaching to? Because if everything is going well, not a problem. But if there are time limitation or resource limitation or whatever, um, then okay, based on what are we making decision, who helps out who? So is there something like that in your organization, Sonia?
No, not really. No. It's more like every product needs the service of the front end team,
Hmm.
and I don't know how to manage how these four product owners like align their priorities to
Yeah.
one set of priorities for the front end team.
Yeah.
Could
Another thing, sorry, Steve, but another thing which also can be, if you have a lot of dependencies with some team, you might want to rethink, do we have the right skills in a team, right? You might want to think, can we have front end skills in these teams to, because actually what you see is every connection that you have, every dependency that you have, um, is a need for some skill, right? If it's a one-time thing, you say, all right, we'll just use the dependency. But if it happens a lot and becomes an impediment, you might want to rethink, do we have the right uh, skills within the team?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Scrum's not going to fix your problems. It's just going to show them. And it could be that there's an organizational structure that may need a tweak. And I worked at an insurance company in the UK where this was a problem. And what they ended up doing was that they counted the cost of delay in waiting for people to become available to, fix this thing and then that kind of stuff. So having component teams. And then they created a feature team called Team Speedboat because the idea was it could cut across. Anyway, so just a proof of concept. And it demonstrated that actually, as Zirin's just been saying, that, hey, we were missing some people with some skills in the team. And once we had them, we were then able to move a lot faster across there. So just by having that, hey, let's run an experiment. Let's have a team that can just demonstrate a feature and we can cut across all the different components. It would be a lot quicker. There, I can guarantee there will be pushback from the teams going, no, we're the feature team or we're the team alpha or team whatever. And this is the way that we always work. Again, customers don't know how their products were built. If it was a component team, feature team, they just want their stuff. So it's like, how quickly could we get our things to a customer? Because maybe there will be, I mean, I don't know which industry you work in, Sonia, but maybe there's a disruptor coming that they have front end people in their team and can move quicker and can get a product out there quicker and all of a sudden starting to eat into a competitive advantage. So it's just demonstrating that. The first thing I would do is count the wait time. We're waiting for something and then start reporting it, especially in sprint reviews, talking to stakeholders, which is that stakeholder engagement again, and go, hey, look, we're not, it's that hands up. We're not throwing dispersions against the team. We're just highlighting how long it's taken for this to happen because we didn't have that person in our team. Maybe we could have it, that kind of stuff. So once you get that and they can see the value, but sometimes it falls on deaf ears and that also happens. So
I see in the chat that Chiara, you want to chip in as well?
Yes, if it's allowed, because we are a small number, so maybe we can have it a discussion.
Sure.
Well, I would like to ask Sonia whether it is possible in her company to ask whoever is responsible to assign a PO, a main PO to the team. Because otherwise, if you have 4 POs that are having requests for one team, then it's about the person that is shouting the loudest gets his thing done, and that's actually something that you don't want. So and you also don't want that the Scrum team needs to manage the different POs. Like maybe you have to talk to each other. it's then putting the work of the PO in the team. That's not okay. So my question to Sonia would be, is it possible that you get one chief PO and the other POs can go to that PO and having their request being prioritized so that there is only one list that goes to the team?
And Chiara, just before Sonia responds, what would this chief PO know more than the current PO do? Based on what does this chief PO make decisions?
Well, that's I'm now talking from the team perspective. that I think that the PO function, whether it is one PO person or 10, it should that the PO work responsibility should be kept out of the team.
Yeah.
So I think if there are multiple POs that have some requests for a team, then the prioritization, the priorities should be kept out of the team.
Yeah. I love that you bring this out, Chiara, because this is exactly what we mean is when we try to scale, when we try to uh, enable and fasten decision making, then probably adding more people in this hierarchical is not a good solution to me, at least. What we want to do is, okay, so what is the ultimate goal that we all need to go ahead to? Why can the product owners currently not collaborate on what the ultimate goal is, right? So I think talking about that area, right? What is the goal that is that is valuable for all of us, and then enabling them having the conversation to make a decision, right?
Who is them?
The product owners, the product
Yeah,
owners
exactly.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then we are saying the same thing. Yeah.
but thank you for chipping in. I really love this part as well because we might not have all the answers as well. So it's a community thing anyway.
There's a question. Sorry, Sonja, does that help?
I have a lot to think about now, so thanks for the inspiration.
That was
Yeah,
very
thank you.
politely put, where it's like, I've got so many more now things to do.
No, it was good input. Thank you very much.
Well, let us know how you get on because I'm curious. So I'd love to know how it plays out. And unfortunately, you're not alone in this situation
No.
either. So I've come across this in the past, and yeah, there's no
Probably in the
perfect
future.
solution, but only attempting to tweak and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So, but
And this is another question from MG is well, okay, it's good that we are now talking about dependencies and having the right skills within a team. It says, but if in a scale environment, when the dependencies are shifting every 2 or 3 sprints, how will you be able to, as a PO, avoid the blaming game?
for not delivering or for somebody blaming the PO or
For not delivering, usually. Yeah.
okay. I would be talking about what's their product goal. If the dependencies are shifting every 2 to 3 sprints, I'd be really curious around the uncertainty around what's going on. And is what we're doing aligned to a vision as the business strategy and then the company vision? Why is it switching so often? And having those kind of conversations. And then talking as a PO, having that conversation with my stakeholders saying, hey, you're asking us to do this, then all of a sudden it's doing this. We need a firm direction of where we're going. I know that may not be possible, but it's avoiding the blame game by putting it back a little bit. It's like you get us to work on what's most valuable, but if that's shifting, we can't do that. So it's having that kind of conversation. It's not that customer supplier relationship. It's that partnership. We're in the same business, hopefully. So it's having those kind of conversations.
Yeah. And there's another thing. I'm gonna post a message in the chat about my colleagues at the cultivators where we created transparency about, okay, so what is our goal and how can we deal with dependencies, right? Usually the lack of transparency also enables blaming for delivery, right? I tell people, well, I would rather hear today that we probably cannot make it or that we have dependencies or whatever, then at the end of the line hearing, oh, let me tell you how difficult it was, why we couldn't deliver, right? So it's all about creating that transparency. It's all about connecting it to the product goal, to the organization goal, and then making decisions together. Because everyone understands how dependencies hurt each other, but too often we don't create the environment to have the conversation with each other, what it actually means.
Does that help?
Yeah. I think it's okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Cool. And then we got another question. And apologies, I'm Chong. Is that how I pronounce your name? I'm really sorry if I've mangled it.
Yeah, Kung. It's not easy.
I'm sorry. How do I say your name? Sorry.
It's actually a Vietnamese name is Kung, but I use the Chinese version Kung.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a question. I hear that there's a trend towards waterfall again or hybrid. What do you have to say about the relationship between project manager and the product owner, the PM not assigned or put in place not by the PO? So the project manager's coming back in. Did they actually ever disappear? I've got a question there, kind of thing. I've worked on agile teams that have had project managers in place, and they've worked, and I've classified them as developers, saying, "Hey, you're adding value to the product. You know, you're not creating things, but you're actually helping the rest of the team navigate the complexity of this organization. We're working in an agile way. The rest of the organization is a waterfall. So you know when we need to do X buy, we need to do this buy, we need to get this into accounts and all those kinds of aspects. So yeah, so I've worked with project managers on there. Zareen, have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, what I usually see is that if product owners or at least Scrum teams, if Scrum teams don't deliver value, they keep postponing it. There's lack of transparency about quality, about when to deliver. It's actually then from management point of view, they get anxious. They feel like, okay, we enabled everyone and still there's no transparency and we don't deliver anything.
Hmm.
And then there's this tendency to tell like, okay, we need to get some grip back or some
Yep.
so sometimes they tend to go back to waterfall as well. But that's basic, not because the work is different, because it's still in a complex environment, but because we're not focusing on delivering value. We're not making it small enough. We're not collaborating, enabling conversation when it becomes
Yeah.
difficult. So we're showing the same behavior that we had in waterfall, but now there is no status meetings or whatever. So it's, yeah, people can get anxious. And I think that's all lack of
Yeah.
focus on delivering value, lack of
Yeah.
focus on collaboration and being transparent about what is going on.
And when that happens, it's very rarely in the Steve approach that the PO has some sort of integrity,
Mm.
because it's more like the PO serves the PM.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's where I would, as a Scrum Master, help people understand if we're doing Scrum, and that's always a big
Mm.
if we're doing Scrum and we're getting some backing of the stakeholders, or and then it's like, okay, let's explain the accountabilities, but then it's just navigating that world. And it's I've yet to find a perfect Scrum implementation, and I've worked on quite a few, just because of the complexities of work. It's just navigating that whole place. So, uh, Answer's got a question. I have a team where teamwork on sprint backlog, but the product owner or management cannot see the actual status of the team, if they're going to make it or not, as they only tend to finish everything at the end. Oh, I've been in that team. They only finish everything at the end. What is a PO should do? This means the burn down chart goes down at the end. Yeah, it's flatlining and then goes zoom, like that at the end. So, yeah, I've worked in that team.
Yeah. Shall I answer this one? I really love this answer
I do
because
too.
my first response is, hey, if they're delivering, they're delivering. But I might um, in the sprint review or even at the sprint retrospective, talk to this to the rest of the Scrum team and tell them it's not good for my heart. The lack of transparency is making me anxious, and having that conversation, right? Because it's not about trust if they can deliver value or not, but
Mm,
there's and I think that's also where part of the product owner and a scrum master to give them context about how our behavior as developers, how it impacts the whole change that we are making, right? Because of lack of transparency, all kind of layers getting anxious to see what is going on, what is not going on. And some people might, just like me, say, hey, I think it's going to be okay. And some of them say, oh no, we need to, Dutch people, please help me out. Ingrijpen. What is that in English? Uh, we need to,
but I understand. I've been there. I know what you mean.
yeah,
Intervene.
intervene. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. So they have the urge to intervene because they really care about the product and the end result. So if there's lack of transparency, it has a lot of impact on the change as a whole. So I
Mm.
think that this is something worth to have a conversation, but maybe even encourage management to speak out loud in a sprint review on how it does what it does to them.
Does that help
Okay.
answer?
Yeah. But what happen if does do we also have to look into our product backlog items? Like maybe we are creating items that are really too big to deliver.
Yes.
How can we solve it? Like it's impossible because they really have some answers that we cannot actually argue on. So
Yeah,
we
Yeah.
are like stuck.
And
and
answer, this is what happened in the team I was working in, where it was just flatlining and then dropping down. And the team said, look, they got frustrated, said, we can't tell where we're heading. And let's call this out. A burn down chart is a complementary practice. It's no longer part of Scrum, but it's an indication of progress. So what they did was that very thing. They started breaking down the items into smaller, valuable, and there's that key word again, valuable chunks. It wasn't just just make it as small as possible, but it had to be valuable. So, and then over time, it started then finding that right bit of right size so that the team, through refinement and in planning, realized that was the problem. And like if you hear from the management or Zirian, it's not doing much for my anxiety here, and think, okay, cool, yeah, those items are too big. They're spending, if they're spending 4 or 5 days on an item, it's not moving across the board, or it's yeah, we need to bring it down. But ultimately, the guide just talks about if an item is believed to be ready to be brought in, if the team believe they can get it to done in a sprint. So, they could have a huge one, but as a Scrum Master, what I'll be talking about is that transparency and saying, hey, look, we're not giving much transparency around progress around here. We're all a little bit nervous. And also play it back to what can we do to reduce the anxiety around this? It could be, hey, nothing. It's just they're that big and we're working through it, but we consistently deliver. So chill out, Zirian. Go do that stuff. And but if we're constantly hitting our sprint goal, that's fine. But what we could do is just say, look, give us some more visibility, give us some more transparency around this. If they're not hitting the sprint goal, there's a whole question around that, and the Scrum Master should be helping them defining what is achievable, and if they're feeling that they're having to overcommit to the goal, then there's a whole conversation there with the whole team as well. So, but yeah, small is beautiful.
one thing I'd like to add, Ansa, is a thing that might not be good to do because it might hurt the self-managing aspect of the developers is tell them you need to make it smaller. So probably don't come up with a solution if you are not the one who is actually doing it, right? So make transparent about what it does to you or what it does to the environment, and let the people who are involved come up with a solution by themselves.
Yeah, I think that's very important, really, because if you tell them, I think it is never taken in a nice way.
No.
I think it's really important that they have to do it
Yes.
after
Mm.
understanding the value out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And also in here collaborate with the Scrum Master as well, right? Encourage the management to speak out and be open about this during a sprint review as well.
Yep, sure. Thank you.
Right. I think Steve, still a lot of questions, but I think we need to stop, right? It's
I think we do. We're hitting that time box. But thank you for giving us an hour of your time. Thank you for the conversations. I've loved this. This has been. Maybe we should just repeat them all again, and we'll just keep doing them and recording them. I love the conversations. So please, this is why we do this, for the community, to hear from you, to share ideas, and to feel that, hey, you're not the only craziest person in the world. So from me, thank you very much. And Zirian, I'll leave you to say goodbye.
goodbye. See you next time. Thank you, everyone.
Take